the next section is about selecting our data. That means till now we have only inserted data into the table, right? Now I should be able to fetch the data from the table, right? So that I will know what data is there and do some analysis on the data, right? So how to fetch data? For that we use select statement, right? So what does the select statement look like, right? Select something, say id comma name from your table name, right? That means what I am saying is, from table employees give me all id and name fields, right? Now if I do enter, you will see the data here, right? So I have these many id and these many names, right? Now what if I want to select all the fields, right? I don't know how many columns are there, but I want to select all the columns out of that. So for that, what I will use, I'll use star. That means select all fields or all columns from my employees table, right? So if I run this one, I'll get the additional two columns. Okay. Now there is a possibility that my table has millions and millions of records, right? And I don't want to fetch millions of record. I just want to fetch, say, 10 records out of that. This command will give me all the records, right? Now what I have to do is I have to make sure I only get 10 results. For that, what I will use, I'll use limit and a number. That means select all columns from employees and limit it to 10 rows. Okay. Now if I run this one, I'll get only 10 rows, not more than that. If we have, say for example, only 9 rows, and if I give 10, what will happen? It will only give me 9 rows. This is the maximum limit. Okay. If I have less data than this one, that's fine. I'll get the lesser amount only. Now suppose your boss comes to you and he asks, can you tell me how many employees are there in my employees table, right? So what I can do, I'll remove the limit, of course, because if I say limit, it will only give me 10, right? I want to count how many employees are there, right? So I will say count all rows. It will say count all rows from employees, right? So you can tell your boss, okay, there are 39 employees. Why? Because I got 39 in the count column, right? Now what I can do is I can create alias. What is the alias? If you see here, the heading of the table says count star. I don't want count star. What I want is employee count, or total number of employees. So for that, what I will do is I will bring this from employees down, and I will say as select count star as, I will say total emp count. That means whatever is the total count, assign it should be total, total employee count, assign it to that name, right? So if I run this one, it will say total employee count is 39, right? Next concept, filtering, right? So this is select statement I am doing, right? But I don't want always all the data, right? I want to filter certain category of data. For example, your boss will come to you and he will say, can you give me list of employees who are manager, right? So what you will do, so I will remove this, I will keep star, right? And I will run this one, so we'll get our regular data, right? Select star from employees, right? Now what we have to do, we have to find all the managers, right? So what I will do is I will say where is the filter condition. That means select everything from employees where something. What is that something? Where designation equals to manager, right? So if you see the table, we have one manager here, one manager here, one manager here, right? So what this should do, it should filter out all rows in which we have designation as manager, right? So if I run this one, right, you see we got these many rows, and if you see designation, each of them are actually manager, right? Now your manager or your boss will come and ask you, okay, can you give me count of this one? So previously we have learned that I can put a count, right? Now what will happen? Oh, there are 10 managers in this employee table. So I will change this one to normal, regular select star, right? And here also, if you want, you can only select, say for example, name. Give me only names where designation is manager. I don't want ID. I don't want designation. I don't want salary. I just want name, right? So here, if you select name, that means you will only get name, right? So these many named people are actually have designation of manager, right? So I'll say back to star. Next, what I want is, I want to find all people who have, salary more than say 50,000, right? So how can I write that? So of course it will be select star from employees where, right, where I'll use the salary column, right? And what is the condition? Salary should be greater than 50,000, right? And I will run this one. So if you see the salary column, all of these are greater than 50,000, right? Now here, if I can do greater than, I can do less than also, right? So we will get all employees whose salary are less than 50,000. If I can do greater than or less than, I can say greater than equal to as well as less than equal to, right? And right, so I can run this one also now. So I will get, is there a value exact 50,000? Here, right? So this includes 50,000 as well, right? And if I can do this, can I say not equals to 50,000? If it says greater than, less than equal to, greater than equal to, then I should be able to do not equals to, right? Not equals to 50,000. If I run this one, I will get all columns which is not 50,000. It can be less, it can be more, but definitely not 50,000, right? So these are all the mathematical operations that we can do, like comparison operations that we can do on the where condition. I will again make it greater than 50,000, right? Now next concept, what I want is, I want all the employees whose salary is in between a certain range, right? I want, say for example, within 50,000 to 60,000. In between that, find me all the employees. So for that, what I will use? I'll use the keyword between 50,000 and, okay, say 70,000, right? Right. So what I'm saying, select start from employees. That means select all columns from employees where salary is in between 50,000 and 70,000, right? Now if I run this one, I'll get my result. So if you see the result here, I have a particular salary called 70,000, and there is salary column called 50,000. That means this between is inclusive of this value and this value. Okay, so if it has a value of 50,000 exactly, it will pick that also. And on the higher end, if it has a value of say 70,000, which exact matches, it will pick that value also. Okay, now next question, or we'll proceed further with few more examples. So we can use and or operator on the where condition, right? That means, okay, let us take an example. Find me all the developers who earn more than say 50,000, right? all the developers, which means the designation is a developer designation, salary is more than 50,000, right? So what I can say, where, right, where designation equals to developer, right, and I have to use and, okay, and salary is greater than 50,000, right, and semicolon. So what this will do, all the developers who have salary of greater than 50,000 will be filtered out, right? Let us see, right? So if you see the table, the description, the designation is developer, all of them are developer, and salary is more than 50,000, right? No, very simple example, clear example, right? Instead of and, I can say or, right? These two are logical operator, right? So what I can say, just another example, designation is manager, or they are earning more than 50,000. That means either this is true or this is true. If any one of them is true, that means that row will be picked up in the filtration. In case of AND condition, both of the condition has to match, then only it will filter. Right now, either it should be a manager designation or salary should be greater than 50,000. Right. So if I run this one, let us see. Right. So if you see here, salary is less than 50,000, but if you see designation is manager. Right. That's why this row is picked up. Right here, if you see, designation is not developer, but definitely salary is more than 50,000. That's why this row is also picked up. So that's how AND condition will work. Right now, next example, right? I'll comment on this one. Right now, what we want is designation is not an analyst. So I want all those people who are not analyst. Except analyst, give me everything. So how can I write that one? Where designation, where I'll say not what designation. What designation is not? I'll say analyst, ANALYST. Okay, that means give me all rows in which the designation is not analyst, right? And I will say semicolon and run this one, right? So if you see here, we have everything: manager, designer, developer, but you will not find analyst. Right now, what I want is I want to get all designation which is either a developer or is an intern, right? So what I can do, where designation, I'll use the condition in what it will take comma separated values. So what I can say, in developer or intern, right? And it should end with semicolon. That means filter out all employees in which designation is developer or intern, and developer developer, correct spelling. Okay, so it should either be a developer or it should be a intern, right? And I'll put it to next line for better visibility, right? And I will run this one, right? So I get all developers and there are 1 and 2 interns, right? So designation is either a developer or an intern. Right now, if you remember, I said all of the values might not be available when we have the data, right? Some fields might be null. Right now, if you see here, we have a null field called salary. We don't know what is the value of this one. That means it is null. Now I want to figure out all the employees whose salary is null, right? We don't know what is their salary, so I want to figure them out, right? So what I can say, where salary is null, right? That means give me all employees where salary is null or whose salaries are null, right? So if you see, I get salary and everything is null, right? So this is how you can work with null, right? And if there is a null, obviously there is not null, right? So this will just work the opposite. Give me all employees in which we know the salary value. It should not be null, right? So I get all the employees in which I have salary value. It is not null.